genre.
In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. Today, we're just gonna throw a shark at all of this. And to help me get that shark safely back in the ocean where it belongs is Nick Jimenez. So, Nick, is My Super Ex-Girlfriend a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
I believe that My Super Ex-Girlfriend is a movie that should be remade.
All right. So, we are talking about, I was just joking before we actually were recording, I assume not your favorite movie of all time.
So the origin story behind this episode, Sam and listener, is I actually thought of this as an episode I could do about a year ago.
Oh.
I was just, the idea just caught, and we're going to get into it. We'll talk about it. But I actually hadn't seen the movie yet.
So you wanted to remake the movie prior to having seen the movie?
Yeah, I wanted to remake it just based on the premise of what if an ordinary, unextraordinary dude dated a superhero.
Cool, I love it. I mean, it's a fun movie premise just in general, and then to find out that it already exists, you're like, oh, great.
Yeah, because, as a kid who went to the movies every weekend in the 2000s, I vividly remember the trailer for My Super Ex-Girlfriend. You referenced it earlier, but Uma Thurman tosses a CG shark into Luke Wilson's loft apartment, and it's the worst / best CG ever.
It is wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's I remember those ads as well, but it's one of those things that had just kind of faded deep into the recesses of my mind.
Because you heard it was bad.
I don't remember hearing anything. I was like, oh, that seems like a movie, and then just it never hooked me in any way.
I remember it getting a 9 or a 20 or whatever it has on Rotten Tomatoes, and I avoided it even though I saw everything. But yeah, I never saw this until last year to prep for an ideal remake episode I was about to DM you about.
Oh yeah.
And then literally Scott messaged me as I was in that process and was like, hey, we're getting ready to do Halloween's coming up. Do you want to do Nightmare on Elm Street with me?
Oh, got it.
And then I completely put this on the side. And so I'm glad I finally get to, pitch it to you.
That makes sense. That was a great episode.
That was a lot of fun. That was great.
Listener, if you haven't gone back and listened to the Halloween episodes, you have to listen to the Nightmare on Elm Street episode. It's 2 episodes for the price of 1, and it's the best.
Yeah, and I haven't told you this yet, but I did. You messaged me off mic, and it was like, hey, you should try writing your script, and I did. I didn't finish it, but I did get 20 something pages in, and then that thing happens. I'm sure it happens to you all the time as a writer, where you just kind of run out of gas or something else happens. But I want to get back to it.
Yeah, I have a script that, for lack of a better name, is called Holographic World, and I'm just I'm 20 pages in, and I'm just but what happens next? I know the last 40 to 50 pages, but the next 20 to 30 are killing me.
Right, it's those middle steps.
Ugh, yeah.
That's the killer.
We'll get there eventually. So, you watched this movie for the purpose of eventually remaking it. What did you think?
To me, it exemplifies the worst of the 2000s era of comedy.
Yes.
And not to, because it's not funny, which is the worst thing. But
yeah. On
top of all that, just so misogynistic, and
oh my God,
just the way that it handles the premise of of course, boring white toast Luke Wilson is owed a relationship with a superhero.
I mean, it's been 6 months since he broke up with his last crazy girlfriend.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I also haven't seen this in a year. I didn't rewatch it.
No, fair. I can't imagine you would have enjoyed it a second time.
But yeah, I remember a big chunk of this movie is Luke Wilson moaning about the women in his life and how crazy they are.
Correct.
To Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson is a monster. Rainn Wilson is such an absolute asshole in this movie that I genuinely think less of him as a human being.
Sure, for like it pierced through the character.
Correct.
And infected the person. Rainn
Correct.
Wilson. It's like me and Nate Jacobs from Euphoria. Like,
fair.
I'm sure he's a lovely dude, but like whenever I see him doing Hot Ones or something, I don't like that dude.
Yeah, exactly, basically.
But like, yeah, but he's so, and that character, the Rainn Wilson character, I feel like is very much a product of the 2000s. Like the obnoxious, like, man, you just gotta put your dick in something, or like women are for, yay, put it, hit it and quit. Like,
He has some of the grossest lines I've ever heard, so much so that like I don't want to repeat them because I recoiled upon hearing them. I was like, oh, that's cringy. Don't say that out loud.
Yeah, it's
or
like,
in your head.
It's like if you were hearing that guy talk at like the booth next to you, or like above you at the movies, and you'd be like, oh god, like get me out of here, or like you'd record him and like.
He's one of those people that you hear one sentence from him and you know just how invested he is in NFTs.
Right, yeah. That guy would be much on the crypto.
Very much.
Yeah. And
so
it's
like, and it's an interesting premise. And it's almost like they take this incredibly interesting character, like one of the first female superheroes in cinema, and they're like, yeah, but all women are crazy, am I right? This guy gets it.
No, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That is very much the tone of like the whole movie. Is like women are crazy. They don't know what they want. They're self-sabotaging. And like you're right, the juxtaposition of like, unfortunately, yeah, Uma Thurman as G-Girl is one of the first big female superheroes we got. We got G-Girl before we got Wonder Woman.
Yep.
And she's like presented as this like crazy man eater, just so unsympathetic, I think, for so much of the movie.
Yeah, like basically almost from day one, it's like, oh my god, the dream girl. She's just so sexy and is just into like crazy shit. Like, oh my god, amazing. Mm-hmm. And then like immediately is ridiculously possessive.
Right, like a switch is flipped on. Yeah,
and it's like, all right. And so much of it is played of like, yeah, but like all women are like this, right? I'm gonna tell jokes in the '90s, and I'm gonna go high five the crowd.
They're like, we know, like the guys know, we know this is all right now.
And poor Anna Faris, like she's trying so hard in this movie, and she's doing a great job, but it's like they gave her less than nothing.
What's such a bummer about Anna Faris's character, aside of like Anna Faris being like such a great comedian and such a great like comic actor, but the character that's been written for her by Don Payne, one of the writers of the first Thor movie, is the ultimate like, what's the phrase the kids are saying? Like the pick me girl.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm understated. Oh, I'm not like Uma Thurman. I'm just like whatever. I'm humble and I'm just soft spoken. I'll support you no matter what.
I'm just the girl at the cubicle next door.
I'm just the girl at the cubicle next to you, and I'm kind of quirky and I'm clumsy.
And I'm gonna do these weirdly sexy things, but I'm dating this other guy.
Oh, yeah, and the running joke of Wanda Sykes keeps thinking that Luke Wilson is like sexually harassing Anna Faris.
Right, and it's like she literally walks in and goes, "He was staring at your ass." And like when I was looking up quotes for this, it said Anna Faris goes, like it's like, "Oh, really?"
I like it. It's okay.
It's fine. And Wanda Sykes is like, "No."
No, it's not okay. And the movie is so clearly, positioning Wanda Sykes as like the, over the top. Oh, can you believe she's on Luke Wilson's case nonstop about not sexually harassing his coworker?
At some point, Luke Wilson refers to her as homegirl, and that is not okay.
Right. Yeah. That was, yeah.
And
it's cringy. Don't watch this.
There's a moment where where Luke Wilson gets a splinter in his finger, and Anna Faris goes, "I'll take care of that," puts the finger in her mouth and sucks the splinter out.
Yeah. Like,
and it's like, oh, I'm just your friend.
I'm your friend. Anytime you want someone to like put your thumb in their mouth, I'm here for you.
Yeah. I'm just dating this crazy hot guy. Oh, what's that? You're suddenly unavailable? My supermodel boyfriend cheated on me. Oh no, now I'm available, which is a trope I absolutely hate.
Right, for sure. Like as soon as she's available, it's like
it's like the person that you are interested in is unavailable.
Okay.
But at some point, the person that they're with is bad for them, and you know that because they're going to cheat. And it's like, I know that happens. It sucks when it happens to you, But like, of all the lazy conflict avoiding,
you've seen it much more recent. Is there a scene where like Anna Faris is crying on the phone and Luke Wilson's like, "Hey, what's wrong? What happened?" He's like, "Oh, my boyfriend off camera like cheated on me."
Yep, that's exactly what happens.
Okay, I feel like that's always how it's always off camera. It's always like
off camera cheated on her, and then Luke Wilson goes over, and then like while she's dealing with the emotional ramifications of that's when they hook up, and it's like
right, yeah, like
and then they wake up in the morning and a shark gets thrown at them.
Yes. And it's because like, oh my gosh, so the premise of basically Ivan Reitman's My Super Ex-Girlfriend, R.I.P. Ivan Reitman, don't enjoy Duncan on. He very much alive when I first came up with doing this.
Look, dead people can have bad ideas too. If anything, it happens a lot.
For sure. And you know what's cool is this was A, not his last movie, and B, he directed a really good movie after this called No Strings Attached.
Right.
With Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher. So go see that instead. But no, like the lens of his movie, the joke is like, wouldn't it be crazy if you, a guy, because all movies are for guys.
Correct.
We're dating this hot girl for the superhero, but then she goes crazy and now she's like, ruining your life and ruining your new relationship. And just that being the premise of My Super Ex-Girlfriend is just like really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to hear what new take you have for this premise.
I have a couple ideas of where we can go.
Cool.
But it's a movie that comes out in the early 2000s, and then it relied so heavily on like 90s stuff. Like they played freaking I messaged you a couple times while I was watching this movie.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, Puddle of Mud.
The first time I messaged you, I was like, "Is that Eddie Izzard?"
Yeah, and I immediately knew what you were talking about.
Eddie Izzard is in this movie, I guess. Eddie Izzard plays
Dr. Bedlam.
Professor Bedlam.
Oh, Professor Bedlam, my bad.
Okay. AKA Barry, the Uma Thurman's best friend from when she was in high school until she got superpowers and left him behind.
Even that, like every aspect of this movie is like a tenet of like kind of toxic masculine mindsets.
Yeah.
Because Professor Bedlam is the like, she didn't notice me because I was a nerd and that's her fault. And now I'm like going to punish her by being her supervillain. But then he gets her at the end. They're dating at the end.
Because he was obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And it's like obsession meets obsession. And it's like, oh, great, clearly.
Yeah. Isn't it nice that creepy little nerd got his like girlfriend prize at the end?
Yeah, and then so at some point Luke Wilson breaks up with Uma Thurman, and it's like, oh, I can't, and she like is theoretically like trying to kill him basically.
Yeah.
And they start playing Puddle of Mud. She fucking hates me.
Which is,
just perfect.
It's like somewhere between On the Nose and Destiny.
It is very on brand.
Mm-hmm. Like when else could this song be used in a movie?
Yeah, but she basically like, yeah, she does. And so stuff happens, and Uma Thurman's trying to kill him, and so Luke Wilson teams up with Eddie Izzard, Professor Bedlam, in order to try to like take her powers away and make it so she can't try and kill him anymore.
Yeah.
It's a whole crazy convoluted mess because then he also starts hooking up with Anna Faris, but then like Uma Thurman finds out and he tells Anna Faris to get out of town, but Anna Faris shows up. They find a weird rock to take away her powers, but then Uma Thurman and Anna Faris both get powers. Oh no!
So it becomes like a cat fight.
Yeah, it's well, you can't have a woman fight a man in a movie because it's unlikable.
Right. No, and you also can't have two women be just platonic, like friends.
Mm-hmm. They would never have done this in the movie, but as soon as the two of them had superpowers, I was like, oh, cool. So those two are going to get together because they're the only people who can be on each other's level. For
sure. I feel like that would be a long shot, but still possible in 2022. But like definitely the ending that this movie deserved.
Yeah.
Is like, it sucks that, this movie ends with Luke Wilson just like getting with any kind of like, romantic partner at the end.
Yeah, he's not. Well, no, it sucks that Rainn Wilson gets a romantic partner at the end.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, she had Anna Faris had a friend.
No, he hooks up with the bartender.
Oh, there was the bartender.
Anna Faris is a free floating agent who had a boyfriend and then she doesn't. No friends, no family.
Yeah.
Rainn Wilson continually hits on a bartender. She keeps telling him to fuck off.
I'm at work. You know, and yeah, at the end he's like, "I just kidding. I liked it the whole time."
But he wears her down.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
On IMDb, that bartender's credit, like what that actress's credited, the character she's playing, is Shapely Bartender. The character's name is Shapely Bartender.
Yeah. No, it's...
Couldn't come up with a fucking name.
Couldn't Bartender.
Yeah, Bartender. Shapely Bartender.
Just had to... Yeah, the screenwriter Don Payne just had to squeeze in that...
yeah.
Don't worry, she was hot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that way casting knows.
Oh, hire someone hot in case you weren't going to already.
Right. In case this wasn't already Hollywood.
Oh, shit. I was going to hire someone just like unconventionally, just like normal looking.
Can't do that.
Cool. Well,
Get the fuck out of here. You're so fired.
It says Shapely in the script. I don't know what you want me to do. My hands are tied. Yeah. No, it's great. I feel like if this movie, you know, because it just like flew by. I mean, like no one remembered this movie, but it's weird that if something like this came out in 2022, I feel like people would be much more like kind of like we are. Like, what the hell is this? It's just weird how far, you know, because now even like, you know, commercial comedy, when I think of like big mainstream comedy now, I think of like Date Night or the Game Night or the After Party. And even then, like the conversations those characters have are so much more nuanced about like relationships and stuff now.
Yeah. Or they're like hanging up, putting a lantern on all of it. Like I literally watched Free Guy last night for the first time. And they do that a little bit too, where like the Ryan Reynolds, like video game character is kind of like doing a lot of like the cliched stuff, and the actress is falling for it because it's cliche and because she's in a movie, but is also kind of like, what are you doing? Yeah,
they're being tongue in cheek about it a little bit.
Yeah. Like I don't think you could make this movie as it was made then without being tongue in cheek.
Right. Yeah. It is such an interesting artifact for something that to me doesn't feel that far away, 2006, but like, I guess it is.
I mean,
it's kind of apparent when you watch a movie, even if you watch something like 21 Jump Street, which is only 10 years old, it feels a lot more progressive than this.
Yeah. I think so. Which is probably why they were like, people don't like this. Put it away.
Oh, this bombed pretty bad. People hated this.
So I feel like for our version, there are a couple different things we can do. Because I feel like we could go full Superman Lois Lane dynamic of you start the movie and they're already dating.
Yes. I think my version has that as well. We open kind of in media res of they've been dating for a while.
And like they have this established dynamic. And you can even have it be like they've been dating for a while, but Lois Lane still doesn't know Superman's Clark Kent. That sort of thing. Oh,
yeah, like the secret identity angle.
And then it could even turn out that the Anna Faris character is the superhero. It's the person. The friend at the office, like Clark Kent, Lois Lane's friend at the office, turns out is Superman, the guy she's dating.
Right, yeah.
Which is a whole extra level of creepy, which we could talk about. But, like, we could go that way. Or we can have them meet in the movie, but then there's got to be... I don't know. It's such a razor's edge we have to walk.
Right. Yeah. What kind of made me think of even this being an interesting story or thing to remake is the idea of, I'm kind of in my head, like superhero in this movie is kind of code for like public figure or like celebrity. And I'm really fascinated with this thing, especially with social media. We have so much more access to people's lives. And like when someone famous is in a relationship with someone who isn't famous, and that how everyone kind of gets to judge that relationship.
Yeah.
Like as a guy, I like me and my friends kind of like joke about this, but like, you know, it's like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez like posts like a Christmas, like here's me and my boyfriend a few years, like, you know, and he's just like a regular dude. And we're like, oh, who's that guy? Like, why is, you know, and other people like, oh, she can do so much better. You know, people do that all the time where they're like, why is this person with this person? They can do so much better. And so it's funny, the idea of like a dude dating like a superhero and the internet hating him.
Well, it's the sort of thing that like, I have a friend who's very much in the camp of like, Superman should never date Lois Lane. Superman should only date Wonder Woman. It's like need that
it's
like
unfair.
equal. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but maybe he's just not interested in Wonder Woman. I don't.
Oh yeah, he's as a human.
No, he needs to be dating someone as famous as he is.
Right? Yeah, that's so unrealistic because, like, you're attracted to who you're attracted to.
Yeah, and so this big famous superhero wants to date a reporter. That's fine.
Right? Yeah, a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter, I might add. But yeah. Like, so the idea of like, so I guess in this version he would have to know that she was a superhero. Because it would be like in my version, the reason he breaks up with her is he's like, I can't deal with the pup being in the public eye anymore.
Okay, so for our purposes, you do want them to start the movie already dating.
I think either way, I think that's a cool, because I don't know what a meet cute does. That feels like I want to hit the ground running.
Like it feels like a waste of time, perfectly honest, because we want to see what the dynamic is. That's the fun part.
Yeah, it's about ex-girlfriend. It's about the breakup.
I mean, we also got to talk about the name, but we'll get to that in a second. But like, I think we have three options actually. We could be having the character dating the superhero and not know her secret identity. Mm-hmm. We could have the guy dating the secret identity and not knowing she's a superhero. Or we can be having the guy dating and knows both.
Ooh, okay. I feel like, well, I mean, like, of course, like, not knowing is so, like, fruitful, because it's like, oh, you were keeping a secret from me. Like, maybe that's what the breakup is about, is like finding out, like, oh my God, you've been G-Girl this whole time.
Yeah.
Or it's like, look, I know you're G-Girl. I thought I could handle dating you because, like, I love Jenny so much, but I don't know if I can handle, like, the craziness and, like, everyone, like, wanting pictures of us or whatever, or like you almost dying or me getting captured by bad guys or something. I'm breaking up with you. I can't handle it.
I've been thrown off of so many buildings, and you catch me at the last second. I feel like I have permanent whiplash.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. If you just kind of switch it to, like, Mary Jane Watson having this conversation, you can imagine, like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just too emotionally taxing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, real people have, I think, ended relationships for less. Like, it makes so much. You can imagine, like, if you were dating like a mountain climber or like an actor.
Yeah, it's one of those two.
Two equally stupid, foolhardy.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like I feel like it's more interesting if the person knows both.
Yeah, me too.
Because they're in on the secret, and that it's this big important thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, because I feel like the secret is what happens afterwards. Like, they didn't know that the person they were dating was capable of going to these lengths. If we talk about those lengths. So I think that our next step is figuring out, is G-Girl or whoever actually, like, post-breakup stalking, or is it all in Luke Wilson's character's name, Matt Saunders? Is it all in Matt Saunders' head?
Oh, yeah. See, like, that was so, to me, like, the most cringy, least interesting part of a movie that exists. That, like, I didn't really, it's not really a part of what I've been, like, imagining. Like, it's kind of like, it's weird enough that she's a superhero, and because I think it'd be cool if it actually had, like, kind of a cool superhero A plot or B plot, because I want it to be like a rom-com first. But she has to deal with, like, the Anna Faris character. I think, like, it's just as entertaining if they act like real people.
I think we're getting dangerously close to turning this movie into another movie that already exists called Harley Quinn, or Birds of Prey, The Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Okay, yeah,
it's kind of what we're building towards. It's this. She was dating it's a supervillain, but basically the same thing. And now everyone kind of defines her in terms of the fact of this previous relationship.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, what I think would be interesting is, like, the irony is, like, this dude, he breaks up with G-Girl and Jenny because he's like, I'm so sick of being in the public eye. I'm sick of people saying, like, why is she dating this person? She could do so much better.
And then you do want the public to know.
I think that'd be really fun, because then everyone is like, I can't believe Matt broke G-Girl's heart. And, like, what? Now they hate me for this reason. And, like, he just can't
win for losing.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, I'm on board.
And it feels like that's how a lot of Marvel movies are, where everyone knows that Thor and Jane broke up.
Right, that's true. And they very much are saying to Thor, like, you can do better. You're gonna do great. Oh man, you're gonna be all right, buddy.
And he's like, thank you. I don't know who you are. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like weird as hell if you're like, I don't know, like Ben Affleck or something, and it's like, hey man, glad you're back with Jennifer Lopez. And he's like, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
I've thought about that sometimes. Of like, there are people that I could run. Like, let me take you as an example. You and I haven't hung out that often.
Sure.
I mean, you've been in my apartment. You've been here for writing groups. That sort of thing. We've podcasted a couple times, but I've spent way more time listening to you talk than I've actually spent with you as a human being.
Right. Yeah. The parasocial relationship.
Yeah. And like, I remember when we were recording the top 5 episode, where we were doing like top 5 pilots for the Dueling Genre Patreon, if anyone is interested in that sort of thing.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I went back and re-listened to it. It was very fun. But there was a moment where I was listening when Scott said, and obviously my favorite show is the OC. And I was like, obviously, you talk about that all the time. And then I realized afterwards, but not to me.
Yeah. It's like, to like podcast on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I vividly remember back in like when I was in high school, the first time I Skyped with Scott. Because like you, I was a listener. And then I reached out because I wanted to work on Geek by Night. And the first time we Skyped was really surreal. Because it was like the voice in your earbuds talking back to you.
Yeah.
But
it's very strange.
Yeah. And I guess living in LA, there's kind of a dreamlike quality of like at any given moment, someone from movies or TV could just walk out of the Starbucks or be parked next to you, and you just kind of get used to it.
Or randomly sits next to you for the screening of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Anything.
Which is a thing that happened to me.
For sure. And it feels like how in a comic book, or you're in a Marvel movie where you're just like going to work one day and then like the Flash runs through your car. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, I like the idea of a city having opinions about G-Girls dating life.
I mean, that's exactly what would happen. I mean, that's what the People magazine is. That's what the concept of Page 6 is it's just so people can have opinions about strangers that they do not know.
Mm-hmm. And like creating stories and narratives around them. And like, it's good that these people broke up because like she's bad or like he's a piece of shit.
Which brings us to, how do we want to deal with Professor Bedlam? Because Professor Bedlam could be someone who tries to connect with Matt Saunders post breakup as a way of trying to get to G-Girl, or as a way of like, oh well, this person's got the inside information, or they could genuinely I mean, this is a shitty term, but they could just be a starfucker. Like, yeah, this person was dating the famous person.
It's interesting. Yeah, like a leech.
I've kissed the lips that have kissed mine. What's the line?
I've kissed the lips that kissed you.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Cause I was kind of weirdly, because I've been like just dunking on this movie. Like, so the Dr. Bedlam, Professor Bedlam I've been thinking about is also like I gender bent Dr. Bedlam.
That's, thinking about it now, I think that's the way to go. That's not who I cast, but I agree with you.
Because for some reason, and I guess this is a form of bias too, of like the idea of like a girl having but then getting spurned because she didn't have like the nerve or was too nerdy to ask Jenny on a date. And so she was like, fine, I'll become a supervillain and get you obsessed with me that way. And then you'll care about me, or you'll care about Professor Bedlam. But deep down, I'm still that scared college freshman that just wants to like ask you out on a date.
Or like in Free Guy, where you have to reach level 100 before I'll even talk to you. Like, I need to be on your level.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not about getting you to notice me. It's letting me become Wonder Woman so that we can be equals, and therefore this is okay.
Right, because like I'm not enough.
Right.
Like the normal me isn't. I have to kind of, which I think I think really, that reminds me of dating in general. Of you think you have to create a version of yourself that's cooler and more interesting.
Yeah.
But really, it's just like, no, like you're enough. Yourself is enough.
I mean, I assume that's true for you. For me, no, it's not. I'm never enough. But like, I imagine for other people's it could be.
Everything's true for other people, but not yourself.
Correct.
That old. Little bit of human programming.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Because literally, I feel like, because the Professor Bedlam in the movie, is so boring.
Yeah.
We get one interesting gadget. Like, there's two things in this movie that we have this amazing opportunity. Like, the G-Girl costume is terrible. She put it on, and I was like, that's her superhero costume?
It's, like, very, like Sunset Boulevard, you know? Like, just so little care looked like it was put into it.
It's very... I'm in a superhero movie, but I'm ashamed about being in a superhero movie.
Right, yeah. It's like, I think even Smallville at the time, like, stuff looked better.
Yeah. And then Professor Bedlam over here gets one... Like, is the billionaire genius playboy. And and we get one cool gadget, and it's like the first time that G-Girl's hooking up with Luke Wilson, they go back to her apartment, and this robotic pigeon shows up and lands on the door, and turns out it's a camera filming them, which is super creepy. And then we don't get anything else that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. But but you're right, he is kind of positioned as this like cool science guy. Like, he's not like
it's Eddie Izzard. He isn't even funny.
Yeah, like he's not even charming. It's just they don't really give him anything. 'Cause yeah, Eddie Izzard has been really good in bad movies before.
Oh yeah.
But this, like the character is just so dry, and so it's not fun to see that character then like get redeemed because he was so boring.
Right. And he's not really redeemed. He's just like, oh yeah, it turns out he's in love with you. Oh, cool. All right, you want to go get a beer?
You love me. That's so cool. I love you too. Here's your prize for like.
You are on the same level of me in that we're both crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not, and so I feel like the dynamic we can build to is that you did you ever see, this is another movie that I feel like eventually I'll end up doing on this show, but did you ever see the Mike Myers movie, I Dated an Axe Murderer?
Yeah, for sure.
Where he spends 50%, because there's a whole build-up, he spends 50% of the movie thinking that this woman he's dating is this axe murderer, and then it turns out it's someone who's framing her. Spoilers for I Dated an Axe Murderer.
Sure.
We can think that it's... Matt Saunders can, like, think that it's the Jenny Johnson G-Girl character who's doing all these crazy stalking things, but then it turns out it's Professor Bedlam.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Because the hero shouldn't be doing evil things, and these are evil things of this person who's already a crazy stalker.
Right, yeah. It almost seems like they're entering like horror movie territory. It almost becomes like that movie Brightburn.
Yes, exactly.
Where like, that'd be really scary, right? If like your psycho ex-girlfriend had superpowers because she's crazy because you broke up with her.
Yeah. And meanwhile, she could just have like a dry, like doctor's sense of humor because she's seen like the worst things the world has to offer.
Yeah.
And it's like she'll make these terrible jokes. It's like, yeah, no, I was kidding.
Yeah.
What you thought I would do that? No.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool because it shows like, you know, it's affecting her.
Yeah.
Like being a superhero would have an effect on someone psychologically that a partner would have to kind of learn to accommodate.
Yeah, it's the whole dating a child surgeon of like, no matter how bad your day was, you didn't have to perform surgery on a sick kid.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes that's like not fair.
Yeah,
because you know it's okay to, you're supposed to complain about your day sometimes, whatever. But like, if you're dating like a Red Cross nurse.
It's fine if you're dating a Red Cross nurse, but if they also happen to be like a story one-upper, like one of those people of like, that does sound bad, but you know it sounds worse. And like every time it's a competition. And
that could be really fun of like seeing while they're still dating, Matt and Jenny, of they're trying to be at a party and just like hanging out and being normal. And then Jenny, without trying to, but just because if she's a superhero, keeps one-upping. Yeah. Or like, oh, that reminds me of the one time I was with Captain Marvel, or like, oh, I punched, and Matt's like, fucking, can you not bring up like, you don't, she's like, but she, you know, she's not trying to. That's who she is. That's her life.
It's literally her entire social life is other superheroes.
For sure. Yeah. Like I used to criticize myself for even talking about like movies a lot at parties. And I was like, well, no, why? That's like what you're passionate about. Yeah. That's how you see the world. That's how you frame stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Yes. And so now part of me wants to be like, well, do you want to have a moment with like a double date where like Matt and Jenny are on a double date with like Batman and Catwoman? And it's literally three elevated people. And even though they don't have superpowers.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I invited them out to hang out with you because they also don't have superpowers. Yeah. Look, there's not having superpowers and there's not having superpowers.
You don't even, you're so not normal. You don't even know what normal is anymore.
Yeah.
Because you think that's normal.
Yeah. I'm friends with them for you. They're your friends. They were never my friends.
They're not my friends. Have you ever like been at a dinner or something or at a party and you're like, whoa, everyone in this room is like 3 levels above me? And I have like almost no frame of reference. Like they're talking about like their portfolios or their agents or whatever. And I'm like, I would feel like, it would be like sitting, getting dinner with Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman. I would like just feel like I've done nothing with my life.
So, friend of both of ours, Zach Luna, and I used to be roommates. And I remember he went to a party with some other mutual friend of ours, who I don't think either of us is friends with anymore. Yeah. And I remember he came back, he was like, it was so weird being at this party. Everyone just like had their own conversations, and I was just also there. And I'm like, it couldn't have been that bad. And like 5 or 6 months later, I went to another party with that same friend, and I went back home, and it was exactly like you said. It was just, you were right.
You're just like, you freeze up, and you feel so
It was just a series of their inside jokes, but I was also there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of what happens to Matt. They keep talking about old battles or it's time to save the world, and he's just like, I don't even feel like, and he can tell that she's like, you're way more into that side of your life than like our life. Yeah. So like, let's end this. Let's break up.
Like clearly, your long-term plans are different than my long-term plans.
And she never in a million years pictured like the normal dude breaking up with her.
It's because she as a superhero can't lose. Because losing means people will die. Mm-hmm. That's what being a superhero is. So and the fact that she like psychologically, like she can't wrap her head around it. And I feel like instead of like weird torture horror things, I feel like if we're doing that, it has to be coming from Professor Bedlam. I think it has to be ever increasing grandiose efforts to get him back.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Because, and the same with like the public being like, oh man, you need to get back together with G-Girl. Clearly she's heartbroken. And now all of a sudden they're like really supportive of a relationship that up until this point the public had been completely against.
Right. That's funny.
It's like this is a loss and a superhero can't lose.
Oh yeah, so she just sees it as another thing to conquer, another battle to win. That's really cool. And then the city is like, oh, G-Girl's trying to get Matt back, and we like it.
We support you. And you do the Spider-Man interviews with like you can literally go like before they break up. I don't know what she sees in that guy. He just seems like a bit of a schmuck. Yeah. And then afterwards, it's like, clearly she's into this guy. I don't know why he's not still dating her.
Can you imagine anyone would be lucky to have G-Girl like, painting like searing his face onto the moon or something.
Oh my, yeah, exactly like that.
But Matt's like, I don't want to get back. Also, and then when she starts dating like the Anna Faris character, then everyone would immediately turn on her and be like, you're the wedge, you're the third person.
Yeah. Oh, Matt was cheating on G-Girl with who's this? He was cheating on her while she was out saving the world.
Yeah, that happened with, I'm a little old, so I kind of know what's happening, but like, the Olivia Rodrigo stuff, right? Like
I don't know.
So she wrote a song called like Driver's License. Like, a few songs on her album are about allegedly a like relation. She was dating a dude from that High School Musical show. And then he was dating another like Disney Channel actress, allegedly. And then all of social media cast the other girl as like the villain of the story. And like you're the wedge, you're the other girl. And so like they all had to be like, hey, like we're real people. Like
stop.
Don't fucking cyberbully people.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and those are all children. This is a movie about like adult characters.
Yeah. But we talk about how there's a big divide between children and adults, but there's not.
Right. Yeah. It's just the lack of firsthand knowledge of like, oh, I've hurting people's bad because I've hurt people before because I'm an adult.
Yeah. So I feel like our Act 1 is them together, and Act 1 ends with him finally being like, this isn't working. I need to break up with you.
Yeah.
And then Act 2 is her trying to win him back in increasingly grandiose things to the point where eventually, like, she starts threatening, like, he's now worried about his own safety. Mm-hmm. And that's when, like, the team up with Professor Bedlam comes in, who kind of orchestrated it to seem that way.
Right. Yeah, he's like the Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
It was me all along.
It was me all along. And, like, all of that is just using that because the more distraught G-Girl is, the more vulnerable she is for whatever
Right.
Professor Bedlam has planned.
So she's going to be easier to defeat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's Act 3. Because
sure.
it's a superhero movie, you got to have your big chaotic Act 3.
Yeah. And I think that would be the fun of this movie, is getting to have your cake and eat it too. Like, get a fun rom-com, like, you know, and then also get like an effective, cool, like, summer superhero movie.
Yeah, very much so.
Because like the 06 one fails both.
Yes. And that's exactly it. Like, we're having this incredibly cool superhero, and it's we should see her be like, it's not a blur off in the background like, oh, we the audience aren't going to know that it's Uma Thurman who's the superhero.
Yeah. She doesn't have a mask.
Yeah. And like, her big thing is she wears glasses and her hair turns blonde. Like,
Oh,
she
that's
got
right.
superheroes. She got superheroes. She got superpowers when she touched like the magic space rock, and her hair turned blonde.
Yes. It magically. Yeah. I remember watching it, and just every new kernel, every new sliver was gross.
Yeah. Like, literally, superpowers made her whiter.
Yes. It made her more like, yeah, like the Aryan ideal.
Yeah, which does not actually do great with my casting choice. But the important thing is...
Me neither, actually. That's funny.
But it was... It depends how you frame it. And, like, the framing of it in the original movie is bad. Mm-hmm. And it didn't have to be.
Well, even, like, you know, I think framing is a lot like Bedlam. Like, all we did was change the character's gender, but for some reason, it just made that character... Just somebody, you understand why that character would be frustrated and angry, whereas like with the Eddie Izzard character, you're like, what the dude, like, get over it.
Yeah. The healthy X versus the unhealthy X, and you literally get to see them of like,
oh, that's cool.
You broke up with me. I was sad. I went on this weird binge with Marvel Man or whatever.
Yeah.
And oh man, you do not want to see what we did to the pyramids.
Yeah. Oh, we can't.
But it's fine. I'm already dating this other guy, and it's an even more bland and boring.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it's oh man, what's the most? He's
like Booster
he's
Gold.
middle management at H&R Block.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, like he has like the most boring job.
Yeah.
Like he works at a bank.
She gets excitement at work. At home, she wants home to be calm.
Yeah, because that's also a huge part of dating, is just finding out, like, oh, everyone wants something different.
Yeah.
Your ideal situation isn't going to be someone else's ideal situation.
Exactly. Cool. All right, I think that's kind of our plot. Is there anything else we're missing in terms of, like, storytelling?
No, yeah. I just kind of, the idea of just the city reacting to all of this and being, like, a spectator is really interesting.
Yeah. I think... So the Von Hague, which is the Rainn Wilson character, and the Hannah Lewis character, I think can just be friends of Matt Saunders. I don't think Matt Saunders should actually date anyone else in the course of the movie.
Oh, that's interesting. That's cool. I did have a Hannah.
Other than potential... I did too, but like other than like Professor Bedlam, potentially.
Okay. I had a weird idea for Vaughn. Just because...
I did too.
Okay, cool. Like, because I just hated Vaughn.
Yeah, because Vaughn's bad.
Yeah, but him having like a scumbag best friend is relatable and be like a fun for a comedy.
Yes.
And so I was like,
it's just a different kind of scumbag.
Yeah. So my kind of scumbag is kind of like a Lex Luthor, Tony Stark scumbag.
Okay.
And he's like, they grew up together, but like he became like a tech billionaire, Elon Musk kind of dude. And that's actually how Matt and Jenny met. Was Vaughn was throwing a cool party that Matt was only at because he was friends with Vaughn. And that's why a superhero was there. And that's how they met, and through, natural chemistry.
I love it. That's great.
Okay. What was your idea?
No, just a dirtbag, but like a different kind of dirtbag. Like not I'm gonna
a gross
sexualize every single woman I ever meet. Just no, I'm just kind of I'm one of those friends that's fun. But, like, you'd never take anything I say seriously.
Yeah. Of you kind of have to take people aside and be like, yeah, that's just him. He says stuff sometimes, but he's a good dude.
He's an asshole, but he'll never actually do anything bad.
Right, yeah. That's just how he jokes around.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't have that filter, but at the end of the day, like, he will actually, like, show up if you need help.
Right, yeah. When you're not expecting it, he'll be there for you. Or like
And-
driving to the airport when you're like, oh crap, or like, oh my god, Vaughn just like paid for everyone's like
Yeah.
flight. You know, like, oh, Vaughn's a good dude.
Yeah. And then you know that you'll hear about it for the next 2 months, but that act was still
Right.
a nice thing to do.
He'll remind you.
In the moment. Yeah. Okay. I think in terms of plot, we kind of have like the shape of what we'd want to do.
For sure.
And I think we kind of have an idea of a movie that would be more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll fill in more as we get through casting. So
Definitely.
I think we have to start. Oh, before we do that, we have to change the name.
Oh, okay.
So I've listened to interviews with stuff with like specifically with Rachel Bloom and Eileen Brosh McKenna, who were the creators of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yes.
And they specifically say it's Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and they will correct people if anyone calls it My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, because that's not the title, because all of a sudden it's possessive. It's not about this dude's relationship. It's because it's her internally. She
Okay.
herself is this crazy ex-girlfriend. She
Yes.
doesn't belong to anybody. And so the fact that it's my super ex-girlfriend,
Yeah.
it's all of a sudden possessive.
It frames it as Matt's story.
Right. I think we can like just drop the my and it's just super ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, let's do that.
And that's enough. And also then we get the competing things of like the secret ex-girlfriend who we think is doing all these terrible things is actually the Professor Bedlam, and then the actual superhero ex-girlfriend is actually doing nice things and
Yeah.
like trying to win him back. Like, oh man, this ex-girlfriend's really super.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like Super Ex-Girlfriend because it's like it's healthy because it's like she stays his ex, and like an ex is a person that is really in your life.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is my ex-girlfriend, but it doesn't mean that like I'm at war with them. It's
Yeah.
and and I feel like the version we're making right now, it's much more of like an ensemble than just like one dude's getting, tortured by this crazy chick.
I sure am glad we saw this movie about this dude getting laid by a super lady.
Psych, this is a movie to see with the bros, but no one did. 'Cause-
Oh man, check out this hot chick. Oh man, check out this hot chick. But for 2 hours.
but for 2 hours, and then they all date at the end.
Yeah, bang party.
And they have a bang party.
Anyway, so let's talk about recasting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So there are 6 characters that I recast, plus writer and director.
Yeah, I think I had 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6.
Cool. So let's start with the titular character, the super ex-girlfriend, Jenny
Okay.
Johnson / G-Girl. What does the G stand for?
So I had kind of, in my version that I've been imagining, rather than having Superman-based powers, I imagined her being a speedster,
Okay.
and it was like G-Force.
Oh, great. Love it. And it also very much is like the Flash is someone that the entire town is invested in very much. Like,
Yeah, they
especially,
love-
like everyone loves the Flash.
Yeah, and like imagining the whole town loves G-Girl the way that like, like remember that year where everyone just fucking loved Jennifer Lawrence, and Jennifer Lawrence was just the coolest girl. And
Yeah.
like she ate pizza and she's
And then
down to
weirdly,
earth.
she broke up Anna Faris's marriage, and now we don't like her anymore.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, she. I think she slept with Chris Pratt, and that's why Chris Pratt and Anna Faris got divorced.
Okay.
Look, the movie Passengers took a lot from a lot of people.
Sure. Like 2 hours out of my life.
Yeah. And also it ruined a marriage.
So who do you have for Jenny, aka G-Girl?
So I wanted someone who can do combat. Like I wanted someone who like we've kind of seen in superhero roles, but is like not quite famous enough to be like, oh yeah, like she's been the blockbuster person before. But she's in John Wick. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's in Friday Night Lights. Like I went with and she's in Orville, which I think is a waste because she's so much better than that. Adrienne Palicki.
Yeah, she's a veteran.
Yeah.
She has like worked in the TV mine. She was Wonder Woman.
Was she?
Yeah, in this infamous unaired pilot.
Oh, she's Wonder Woman in the Joss Whedon one?
I don't even know, that was a movie script. This was
okay.
This was a pilot that it had like Carrie Elways in it, and it was like an ABC David E. Kelly show. Scott Corelli back in the day, I can't remember where he shared this on a podcast, but he went to an early screening of it and then wrote a review and leaked that review to Ain't It Cool, and it was featured on the site.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So, little piece of... But yeah, I like Adrienne Palicki.
Yeah.
Or Palicki, however you say it.
however you say it, but like she's great, and it also kind of matches like the aging of everybody. Like I kind of put like mid to late 30s for everybody because it's like they've had a relationship, they are adults.
Yeah, they're adults. It's not like their first. They have a history. They've been burned. They've been around the block a couple times. Man,
but yeah, tell me who you. But like it has the same problem of like I cast a blonde lady.
This is spooky because like I didn't. My Jenny is very like they could be sisters in another movie.
All right.
My choice is Alexandra Daddario.
Oh, interesting.
Might know her from White Lotus, True Detective, the Baywatch movie. Also, I think like really good, but has like kind of been in not great stuff, and I feel like could do better
like
and
one
really
of those,
deserves like
very much unappreciated.
Yeah, and like it's funny you mentioned athleticism. Like she is a very like she's very tall, and I can picture her being like a runner, and just kind of fits like the impossible, like like I could picture her being like the whole city falling like G girl, she's great. How could you not be in G girl?
Clear, like we love you, G girl. You're the best.
But also like especially in like White Lotus, really good at playing that like hyper driven type A. Like, because I picture this G girl being really ambitious because she really falls into the superhero life more than like being a normal person. Quote.
Yeah, it's tough because I think we both knew the assignment and did this casting very well because I think they both could play the part extremely well.
Definitely.
And I think they both bring something interesting and unique to the role, but they'd both be very good at it. And both of them are kind of criminally underused right now and deserve to be like the lead in a big blockbuster movie.
Right, yeah. And then like sometimes
that's
you're like,
not Baywatch.
Definitely. Yeah, no one should have been in Baywatch.
No. I mean, The Rock and Zac Efron. It makes sense for them.
Yeah, straight
no
down
one
the middle.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, remember how like weird, like sick shredded Zac Efron got for that movie?
I don't remember.
Like,
I didn't see it.
I don't know if that's healthy.
Oh, it's not. It's you're incredibly dehydrated.
Yeah, and he talked about it, I think, too.
I bet.
Yeah.
Zac Efron is... So I'm doing bookkeeping stuff. I used to have a client who worked for FX, and I would go like do bookkeeping stuff for him on the Fox lot. And I would just show up and like work in his office and like random other stuff. And I remember one time I got out of the elevator and Zac Efron was like getting on. And it was just Zac Efron and like a swarm of like half a dozen of the exact same looking dude just fought like just the most honestly dudes who were like built like me but like attractive and like
is it like have you seen that meme of the baseball game where all the guys are like forming like a flower?
Kind of,
where they're like in a row and they're all like posing, but it's like the same dude copied over and over.
It was like Zac Efron and then just like multiplicity.
Got it. Yeah. Was that his posse? Was that his team?
It must have been his posse because it was very weird.
Wow.
And I just like had this moment. And I walk into into my client's office. I was like, "That was weird." He was like, "Yeah, that's what happens." And I was like, "Okay."
Gosh, I would hate to have a posse. I would hate to have people following me around every day.
I both would hate to have a posse, and also I have no interest in being in a posse.
That's true. I also wouldn't have fun being like in an entourage.
It's like I understand that there's some people who like fully commit to like following behind somebody and it's like wherever you go I go, but it's like have some age. Like I'm okay with like being supportive. Like being supportive and working with someone and liking people you work with is great, but like
what if
not being one of six?
Yeah, what if G Girl just got accepted into the Avengers? Like kind of Captain Marvel's, kind of like a recent addition. And it's really like you're all the time you're spending with the freaking Avengers. Like we're a team, we're a family. And he's like, but I'm your boyfriend.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Good, I like it. Let's come back to this because I think either of these
they're so similar.
Work.
It's so
they're similar in the good ways and they're different in the good ways. It's
right.
Perfect.
It's funny.
Did excellent.
Adrian Palicki's fun because she kind of has that action movie look, whereas Daddario kind of has that more like rom-com look. I think.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, we'll come back.
I like it. So who did you have for Matt Saunders?
So for Matt Saunders, I had someone who I think is one of our greatest character actors working currently, Paul Walter Hauser. Movie lovers might recognize him from performances in I, Tonya. He was in Cruella last year as Horace. I think
He
massively.
was so good.
Yeah, massively underrated. And Richard Jewell, that Clint Eastwood movie from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But the performance that I really want to draw attention to, and why I cast him in this theoretical movie, is he's in the I Think You Should Leave sketch, where he's cast in the play, and Jamie Taco keeps stealing his lines.
Great.
And what's so great, the reason I think that sketch is so great is because the moments with him and his girlfriend in that sketch are like really sweet and like really human, and you buy them as like this really loving couple. And kind of going back to perception, I feel like such a part of dating, like as a guy, is like, if you watch movies or even just walk around, you're like, oh, only one type of body type is attractive.
Yeah.
And like why would a girl ever be with someone who isn't built like, Zac Efron or like Dylan O'Brien or something? And I said Dylan O'Brien because for like a week I was thinking of Dylan O'Brien. And then I was like, no one on the internet would have any problem with Alexandra Daddario and Dylan O'Brien dating.
That's true.
But like Paul Walter.
That's the argument. That right there, what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is the really most convincing argument of like, no one on the internet would be like, oh yeah, of course the attractive superhero is dating the attractive Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Who cares if they're 10 years aged apart?
That's true. I didn't think about that. But
that I think is the actual argument. Like, it's someone who's like, the superhero sees something in this guy,
mm-hmm.
and like even himself he might not. But I don't even think this necessarily needs to be someone about lacking the self-confidence of like, I'm not good enough for her. Like, I don't think we need to have that. I think that
for sure
there are other movies about that.
That's kind of more about like what the public sees.
Yes, and I think that's a really good argument.
Because, like you said, like these characters are in their mid-30s. Like,
yes.
I think Matt has probably maybe like a lot of us got bullied or grew up not feeling confident about themselves. But now they're like, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm a confident dude. I've been in this relationship with Jenny for like 5 years or something. But so his problems are more mature and more existential than like, self-confidence.
Think that's good, and I think that's important. That's the argument that's convincing me.
Sweet.
Because I think the person that I cast is a little bit closer to a Dylan O'Brien type of like, oh yeah, just another attractive person. It's an attractive person who I don't see enough and I think would be good.
For sure.
He's I know him, like he was in the originals, he was in one of the seasons of Power Rangers. I know him from Jessica Jones. The actor's name is Ika Darville.
Oh, cool. Yeah, was he like Jessica Jones's like buddy?
Yeah, he was the buddy, like the addict.
The addict, yes, that's right. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and he's a really good actor, and I thought that he'd do really well in this role. But I think you're right.
Okay, cool.
I think it needs to be someone like Paul Walter Hauser for all of the reasons that you just said.
Yeah, and like you can, and it's a bummer that you don't see like Paul should be in a romantic comedy. He would be great.
Yeah,
but like who knows if he's even gotten those calls? I
don't know. Or they're just going to the guy who was in Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, Dan Fogler.
Yeah.
The folks.
Like, we got one of these types already. We don't need more.
We only need one. We don't need two of a kind of person.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So then let's talk about Hannah Lewis, who I don't necessarily see as a romantic pairing, but I see as someone who is like someone who's there, support, like different kinds of support.
Yeah.
There's the asshole friend and the who is supportive, and then the just outwardly supportive friend who is supportive.
And it can be cool because I'm picturing, whether it's romantic or not, Hannah being a new person in Matt's life.
Yeah,
that it's like, oh cool, like a new friend that I can talk to and kind of like vent about this crazy process that I'm going through.
It's so hard to meet friends as an adult, and now I'm actually connecting with someone on a human level.
Yeah, and she's like, because what I'm thinking of Hannah most importantly is she's like the anti-Jenny, where she's like, I'm kind of okay with not being like the most successful person.
Yes.
Like I have my little, like my life and my job that I've worked hard to get, but like I don't need to have like the biggest, I don't need to be G-girl. And Matt's like, oh my God, that's so refreshing.
Yeah, good. I like it. So my casting for that, she's been in Chicago Med. She's in Teen Wolf. She's in a movie called Stuck, which I only mentioned because it's like, I have a movie called Stuck.
Oh, weird.
This actress is named Arden Cho.
Oh, I'm not familiar with them.
So she...
Let me look it up on my phone. Oh, okay, yes. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything.
I haven't either, but just kind of one of those people I'm like, oh yeah, she seems like she'd be good. A good friend who's done like the kinds of things I don't know.
Oh, it's funny.
I just liked her.
She was in Teen Wolf, like Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah, which I also haven't seen, but seems like a sort of thing that people would enjoy.
For sure. No, I missed the Teen Wolf train.
A little after my time.
Yeah, literally like 5 years.
Something like that. Yeah.
My Hannah Lewis is Kelly Marie Tran.
Oh,
from
great.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Raya and the Last Dragon, and yeah, just kind of like
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah, and just like, yeah, just kind of that energy of like I can picture like her kind of like soft spoken, kind of like, oh yeah, I'm just a person, like I'm like the decency, like when you watch Last Jedi and you just immediately know Rose Tycho is just like good people.
Yeah.
Like that kind of vibe.
Exactly like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then Kelly Marie Tran it is. That's exactly what we want.
Sweet.
Perfect. She's so good. All right. Yeah. So we're also going to go with your person for Professor Bedlam, just because I think you're right. Professor Bedlam has to be a lady.
Can I hear yours? Tell you, oh, please.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about who I'd had first. Mm-hmm. Because what I'd kind of wanted is I kind of wanted like the Master of Disguise, evil Lex Luthor, like we don't like this person who's actually stalking and so can be like all these different people. Mm-hmm. So I went with the lead of Alternatino, Arturo Castro. Someone who's capable of being a Master of Disguise, capable of being all these people, who's funny, but also has in, like, because he's in Broad City, but also is in Narcos and can be deadly serious.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy watching him in Narcos and being like, oh my God, that's Jaime.
Yeah, it's so weird.
That's fun, yeah. He had that show that I never watched on Comedy Central that he...
That's Alternatino.
Alternatino. Okay, cool.
Like, I didn't watch the whole thing. Like, I watched like a few episodes in a row, and we laughed the whole time. It's so funny.
Great. You have to check it out.
And it's just... It never really went because like the advertising campaign for it was weird. It was just be his face and then just him in a bunch of different costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know who this guy is.
Who is that?
It's like, I get it. He's very, very funny, but like... sell us a different way.
Yeah, sketches are probably so weird to market. Like,
yeah, I don't know
why something like Inside Amy Schumer really. I mean, not that Inside Amy Schumer didn't have a lot of great stuff in it. So, my Professor Bedlam is Emma Stone.
All right.
I talk about this a lot on different podcasts. I think like Emma Stone, she's so great now, but I feel like she's kind of like out of time. I feel like she would have been really great in like the 70s as like a Madeline Kahn like character actress.
Sure. Okay.
Like, she's so great. Every time she's on SNL, she plays these big crazy characters, and I've always wanted to see a movie where she got to be just like this big unromantic like crazy character, like full like a Steve Martin Short kind of character.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that'd be so cool for her to be like this like evil super mad scientist villain character.
You can even stick her in any of the outfits she wears in Cruella and just say, oh yeah, evil scientist.
Oh, for sure.
Done.
Or like, like Yzma mad scientist.
Yeah.
Like lab coat, like rubber gloves.
Yes. And pulling only the correct levers.
For sure, absolutely.
No wrong levers here. All right, great. I love it. That's that's wild. And especially if we're using this as an analogous of like celebrity and like being famous, of like Professor Bedlam made themselves famous enough for G-Girl.
Yeah.
To the point where now they're almost more famous. I'm casting them. If that's the most famous person in our movie, that's genuinely very funny.
Oh, that's true. That's great. Yeah.
I like it. Okay, great. Then who did you have for Vaughn? Just kind of the
Yeah, so kind of playing the like Tony Stark like douchebag, but for some reason you kind of root for him, Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like something about him being kind of that guy is some like interesting or weird enough to where it would just be like, God, this guy's so annoying.
Yeah, I like it. That's very, very funny. So mine, I went with someone who we see him doing like more kind of dramatic roles, but like this guy's got a sense of humor, and I appreciate that. And so I'm like, Elliot Page.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like,
that's great.
Dry asshole sense of humor.
Yeah.
But like really does care at the end of the day.
That would be awesome. Because I've never seen him play like a douchebag before, or like a really confident, cocky douchebag.
Right. And I feel like that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see him. Again, kind of like Emma Stone, like kind of seeing like this really famous, someone who's been famous for a while, do something unexpected and different.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we want. Like that's what I think the point of like these big famous celebrities should be, of like, we have the expectation, and then they just do the exact same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I find it boring. I can't imagine how they'd feel.
Yeah, but yeah, the idea of like scumbag, like Barney Stinson, Elliot Page.
Yeah,
is like
exactly
really,
like that.
Yeah, Lady Killer Elliot Page.
I like it. Yeah, so then let's do that. So then the only other cast we have is Carla.
Yeah. I just cast Wanda Sykes again.
I genuinely considered doing that.
That just made me laugh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's still so great.
Yeah, I almost did the exact same thing.
For sure.
I ended up going with Kirby Howell-Baptiste, who, as long as we're pulling everybody from Cruella, here's someone else from Cruella.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
And she's also in The Good Place. She's in Barry. Apparently she was in Veronica Mars. I don't remember that at all.
Oh, she is in The Good Place. Yeah,
I don't remember her name, but she's the Australian lady in The Good Place. And she's so good.
Yeah. That's so great because, like, I think of all those characters and, like, they're very different characters.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, I was thinking someone who could kind of play kind of the same energy Wanda Sykes was playing at that time with the same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Of, like, the asshole boss who, like...
It's kind of...
there for a couple of lines, just a couple of zingers, and then she's out.
Yeah. That'd be cool to... Please.
No, go ahead.
Or, like, you know, what makes a shitty boss in 2022? You know?
Yeah.
Of, like, I don't know, like, a really invasive... Like, oh, you're cool with doing, like, a 3-hour Zoom meeting today, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so I just thought Kirby Howell-Baptiste would be fun. So I would say let's go with her.
Definitely.
And then that brings us back to Jenny Johnson / G-Girl. And I think if we're going to have Emma Stone, if we're going to have Kelly Marie Tran, and I think something that would be a good dynamic for them is I think we kind of need the more muscular superhero.
Yeah. Like.
And I feel like if you have
Alexandra Daddario.
Thank you, Alexandra Daddario. Going against Emma Stone, it's just like they kind of feel like equals already.
For sure.
And I can only imagine Adrienne Palicki like standing like a head taller than Emma Stone and just like looking down.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. The idea of her Adrienne Palicki. I mean, you know, she was Wonder Woman. Of like the comedy of her actually looking like she could be in the MCU.
Yes.
Or like a real superhero. Yeah, that could be really fun. And like,
I mean,
please.
She kind of is. She's Mockingbird, but
That's very true.
No one really knows that much about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
We don't talk about, which is a shame. Because, and that'd be really, that would kind of add to the meta. You know, we're talking about surprising people. Like, you know, Alexandra Daddario has been in a fair amount of comedies, but Adrienne Palicki hasn't gotten to be funny very often.
Isn't she funny in Orville? Isn't Orville funny?
Orville's really weird. Well, she doesn't get to be funny. Her character is always like the straight man character of like, what are we doing?
Which is a shame because she's so good.
No, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Great. That's our cast.
That's
so then
awesome.
That brings us to writer and director. So I have a writing team, and then I have a separate director.
That's exactly what I have. That's so weird.
Excellent. All right. So I think you went first for Carla, so I'll go first for writer. So for this team, it was important to me to have, because it's the titular character is G-Girl.
Yeah.
It's a lady. It was important to me to have a writer who was at least one of the writers was female and the director female. Like I think that's important. This should not be a male gazy movie, despite what the original was.
Yeah, we've seen that already.
Yeah, and so this writing team has done some okay things. Like they wrote Journey to the Center of the Earth, which isn't great, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
And they're also like the creative team behind like Big Mouth, which is like interesting kind of romantic pairings and kind of like exploring that. But they're also the creative team behind The Atom Project, which is fun action that's also heartfelt, which is kind of what it feels like we were going for. And that is Jennifer Flackett and Mark Levin.
That's crazy. I didn't know all those three projects had the same creative team.
Right? It's so weird.
That's really varied. Yeah. I really liked Atom Project.
I also really like The Atom Project.
Yeah. It's just a fun, like throwback event. It seemed like a movie that if I found like on HBO when I was 11, I would have like watched it over and over again.
I mean, it's built for that. Like with the kid being like the hero.
Oh yeah. Like a kid would imagine like, oh my God, you know, where he's like controlling the ship or whatever.
Yeah, and like the other thing is like as soon as we start seeing like the kid perform, like I was watching it with my friend Caitlin, who I think you know as well, and we were just like, so this kid's Ryan Reynolds, right? Because he's doing a spot on Ryan Reynolds impression.
It was he did a great job of getting like
so good. Everyone in that movie, with the possible exception of like the villain, I thought was like excellent. Like Jennifer Gardner deserves to be famous because she's so good.
Yeah, that She only had a couple of scenes, but yeah, the mom character was really human and like was allowed to be like frustrated and angry, but still like you could tell she was a good mom.
Very much so. I don't know. I liked it a lot.
No, it was fun.
Anyway, I thought they were fun.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick. Yeah, for like the kind of broad, the kind of fun, heartfelt comedy vibe.
Yeah. So tell me who you had.
So one night I was watching the behind the scenes feature on Disney Plus for the Eternals.
Okay.
And Kumail Nanjiani was like, yeah, I decided it'd be cool if like my character in Eternals was a movie star because that's the closest you can be to being a superhero as a movie star. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. That's kind of what I was thinking about with the movie. And so my writers are Kumail Nanjiani and Emily V. Gordon.
Oh, that works so well.
Yeah, because I was thinking...
Especially because Kumail Nanjiani, I think, they're both famous, but Kumail Nanjiani is famouser than Emily Gordon.
Sure, he's a superhero. He's in a Marvel movie. But like, they both, wrote a really great rom-com, The Big Sick.
Right.
But what I don't listen to the Indoor Kids. That wasn't a podcast I listened to. But before the movie stuff, they were most famous for hosting this video game podcast. So I know that to an extent they're both nerds, and so it'd be cool to get like them writing something nerdy and genre, and kind of see what that's like, but still funny.
Absolutely, you sold me. I'm 100% on board. Like I was writing their names down.
Oh, cool.
Because you'd sold me so hard.
Nice.
That I was like, oh well, clearly that's who we're going with. Kumail Nanjiani, Emily Gordon. Perfect. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Who's your director?
So my director, she hasn't done that much. Like she does an episode of TV here, an episode of TV there, and I was like, but it's an interesting selection of things that I'm like, I kind of want her opinion because like she did an episode of Vampire Diaries, she did an episode of Black Lightning, she did an episode of The Chai, and I'm like, she's doing all the sorts of things that you kind of want for this sort of director that and isn't already too bogged down in like kind of like the Hollywood system of like expectations.
Right. Yeah.
And I have her name because I occasionally pull from this list of the female directors Ava DuVernay wants you to know about.
Oh, so okay. Yeah.
This is one of the directors from that list. Her name is Tanya Hamilton.
That's really cool. Like there's so much good directing work being done on TV, and it's so unfortunate that like that pool of talent is so rarely brought up to the leagues of directing features.
Especially if you do multiple episodes of TV, that's already more than a movie.
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like lately we only look at like Sundance or like indie feel. Okay, this person made like a indie drama, give them a superhero movie. But like these workhorse veteran directors that have done every kind of genre, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so that's who I was thinking. Who did you have?
So my director also doesn't have a ton of experience. She was primarily an actor for a long time. Her name is Natalie Morales. She was in...
Oh, she's from she's from Parks and Rec.
For sure, yeah. She dated Tom in Parks and Rec. The Middleman, dueling genre favorite, The Middleman.
I have the DVDs sitting on my shelf and I haven't watched it yet.
Man, I haven't rewatched that show in like 15 years, but I remember that was like my introduction to her. And
nice.
And then she directed this movie called Plan B that's available on HBO Max. That's like a road trip comedy about these two best friends that go on a road trip so that one of them can get an abortion because like they can't do it at the state that they're in.
I remember hearing about that.
And yeah, it was really funny and like a really good looking comedy, which is kind of rare nowadays of like, and so, far and away, this would be like the biggest movie. Cause like, that was like, I think her first, she also made this like Duplass brother movie, but I think it's just like a Skype movie.
Nice.
But I just kind of threw it out there. Cause I really like the sense of humor of Plan B. And so it kind of fit like, it's a bit more like Judd Apatow-y than like Adam Project-y. So that's kind of, I think, the main difference.
I might push us a little bit more towards Tanya Hamilton just because she needs to be able to direct action. And I don't know if that's something that Natalie Morales has done before. And I think that's important. But if she has directed action, I'm all ears. And
kind of in the same way of like Adrian Palicki being a cool choice, this director's a cool choice because it's like, it would kind of have the aesthetic of like the Black Lightning, or it would feel like you're watching like the real thing, but then it's like, funny.
Cool. All right, great. Then let's go with her.
Hell yeah.
So then let me take you through our cast. Super Ex-Girlfriend, coming 2023. Jenny Johnson, aka G Girl, would be played by Adrienne Palicki. However she pronounces her name, she's the lead. We'll find out later.
You did it.
Matt Saunders will be played by Paul Walter Hauser. Hannah Lewis will be Kelly Marie Tran. Professor Bedlam, a.k.a. Barry, is Emma Stone. Vaughn Haig is Elliot Page. Carla Dunkirk will be Kirby Howell-Baptiste. All of this will be written by Kumail Nanjiani and Emily Gordon, and then directed by Tanya Hamilton.
I'd see that.
I don't know if anyone can hear that siren, but that siren means that we did a good movie.
G-Girl is on the scene.
Yeah, that was weirdly timed. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm hyped about this. This is a good cast and crew.
Yeah, I want to watch this movie.
Hell yeah.
Because the other one was so bad.
The other one hurt.
Yes. Whew. But anyway, thank you, Nick, so much for forcing me to watch this movie and then helping me remake it in a way that I like.
Into something greater.
Yeah. So tell everybody about all of the many things that you yourself are doing.
Well, we're in the middle of franchisography. I think depending on when this episode comes out, our Pirates of the Caribbean episodes will be coming out.
This episode will probably come out May.
Oh, okay. Well, then franchisography will probably be taking a nice long nap, and
good for you. You deserve it.
Yeah, and also our other shows deserve attention. So the Doctor's Companion will be coming back.
Exciting.
We'll be like making that again full speed, and then also we're really trying to get the final episodes of Geek by Night out. During the summer. So hopefully by the time you're listening to this, we have more details about that.
It'll be our big summer blockbuster, but for podcasts.
Hell yeah. No, we're excited. There's 8 stories left. Each one is bigger and crazier than the last. And
yes, that's what we want.
Yeah, I'm really excited for everyone to hear them.
And then do you have social medias you want people to follow or no?
Yeah, at Nick M. Jimenez is my Twitter. I mostly just use it to promote podcasts these days. I don't like sharing opinions.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, no one needs to know what I thought of the Batman.
It was good.
Check my likes.
Yeah, there you go.
That's enough of it.
Good. If you're interested in following me, I am at Sam Gasch, SamGasch, on Twitter, or follow the podcast at Ideal Remake on Twitter or Instagram. Or the best thing you can do for franchisography, for the Doctor's Companion, for Geek by Night, is to go online to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. It's the best thing that happens. It's how Apple Podcasts promotes podcasts. It's the best, and it genuinely doesn't take that long. It's always appreciated. Thank you.
And you can leave ratings on Spotify now.
You can, but fuck Spotify.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, I learned about that, and then I was like, oh.
Right, yeah.
But yeah.
And then who knows about Tidal? Does Tidal have podcasts?
It does, but you can't rate them.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. And then because Ideal Remake is a dueling genre podcast, I try to promote another podcast on the Dueling Genre Network every episode. And this time I'm promoting the New Republic Archives, hosted by Gary Robbie and Tim Garcia. It's every other Thursday, and basically the hosts, Gary Robbie and Tim Garcia, are huge fans of Star Wars and are celebrating the full breadth of the extended universe, one media property at a time. So if there's an aspect of Star Wars that you want to hear about it, and you want to hear about it, there you go. They're the ones talking about it. So that's it. New Republic Archives.
It's a great show.
Dueling genre.
It's true. It's a great show. Tim and Gary are the best. They're so positive and full of love and making fun of stuff that's goofy.
Yes, and I love it. Cool. So then that only leaves us with one thing. So Nick, thank you very much for being on this episode, and we'll end the way we always do. What is your favorite quote from My Super Ex-Girlfriend?
I think there's a part where he's looking at something, Luke Wilson, like his apartment or his car is on fire or something, and he's like, oh no. Just the most Luke Wilson undersold line.
Yeah.
You saw it much more recently than me, so you might actually remember real lines.
I'm trying to think of a line I would be willing to repeat. I feel like it's got to be just genuinely one of the things where it's like, Luke Wilson's car has been torn out of the garage. There's a massive hole there. And the parking garage attendant goes, do you have any idea who could have done this? And he goes, no, I don't.
That's good.
Just dry Luke Wilson delivery.
That's a good line. Cool. Okay, so one thing worked in that movie.
Yes, we found it.
We found
All right. We did it. We did a podcast.